Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Head, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, and welcome back to the Baseball Head. Hopefully you like this video. And hit that subscribe button. So the Mets won tonight, 19-9 against the Marlins. But the big story, obviously, was watching Jonah Tong's Major League debut. Couldn't have gone better, scripted any better. Mets scored 19 runs in the game, like I said, and that's the most runs they've ever scored at home, which I was surprised to hear that it was that, because they've had such great offenses at times in the history of this club. You know, the Mets of the 80s, the Mike Piazza era, the David Wright, Beltran, Delgado era. But to see this group do this is quite the feat. Also, this is the most runs of any pitcher making his debut. I have a big statistic here on the side here. It's from New York Mets stats. That's a great X account. 19 runs is now the record. The old record was by Mike Pelfrey in 2006. Prior to that, and they scored 17 in 1988. For David West, they scored 14 runs. In 2022 was 10 runs for Jose Butto. 1996 for Paul Wilson. 1994 for Juan Castillo. And in 1984, Calvin Schiraldi. These are all the runs scoring in the Major League debuts of these players. But Jonah Tong he's a nice boy. I mean, really, he pitches like a man, but he's really on that mound. But he looks like a nice boy. And he's 22 years old, but he looks like a nice kid. And to see him smiling on the field and in the dugout, and then after the game, it's great to watch. And that's what's so great about young players. When they come in, they can really infuse a lot of energy. This has been a very strange season. A very strange season for the Mets. A very weird season. Very different from last year. Last year, there was a lot of joy. There's a lot of angst in this season. I think I said early on in the season that this reminded me a lot of 2000. Where it's sort of like, it's all about the grind. It's all about the day-to-day grind. It's like, it's a real grind this season. And it reminds me a lot of 1988 too, in that regard too. A real grind to this season. That's different, because you feel like the Mets are going to get the postseason, even though I've said, and a lot of people have said, how poorly they've played. This has been a real grind of a year. But to sort of have a young guy come in, and he's a nice boy. I mean, it's the only way to describe him. I mean, really. But a couple of things, and really quite a few things. The Mets scored 5 runs in the first 2 innings. Oh, 8 runs, what am I talking about? 8 runs. How many runs? I don't even remember. You see the box score. 12 runs in the first 2 innings. And I think that showed how he was able to sort of keep his composure early on in the game. Obviously, he gave up 4 runs in the 5th inning, but that's because of bad defense by the Mets. But his composure in those first 2 innings, because they were such long innings, when the Mets were scoring runs like crazy, that says a lot, because he obviously had a lot of adrenaline running through his body in that first inning. He only threw 6 pitches in the first inning, which is amazing. The Marlins really were very aggressive in this game against him. But to see how well he pitched in this game, up until the 5th inning, he had a little trouble in the middle of the 3rd inning and 4th inning. But for the most part, he was very much in command. And the statistic that I liked the most was that he didn't walk anybody. 2 years ago, in 2023, he had been pitching in the minor leagues, and he was just walking the ballpark like crazy. And really it was a real struggle. It was a real struggle for him getting outs. His walk per 9 innings was like over 6. I noticed because I followed him really for the last 2 years since I've been doing the prospect touch. So to be able to see his sort of his rise to the Mets system, just incredible. And he pitched really well last year, to where the walks I think were around 4.5. It didn't sound great, but from where he was the year before, over 6 walks per 9 innings, and then I think this was about 3.4 or something like that this year, and then he didn't walk anybody in his first start. That is huge. So in the first 4 starts between McLean and Tong, the Mets, those 2 pitchers, those 2 young men, have walked 4 batters in their starts. 4 batters. That's amazing. It's incredible. So it tells you where the Mets farm system is right now to this very short snippet of 4 starts with these 2 guys, that they are really starting to turn a corner with the minor league system. This is a system that's been building since 2022, really, since Billy Epler was here. And that Billy Epler should take a bow somewhere for this kid, because this kid was, this is a development win for the Mets once they drafted him. And this was a kid that, he's Canadian. He is a pitcher that there wasn't any fanfare. And he came down, and he lived in Canada. He moved to Florida so he can get drafted because he wanted to pitch in the major leagues. And to see what he has come is a great success story. And Billy Epler should take a real bow when it comes to him, because this is the system that they saw something in him 3 years ago, and they drafted him, as well as Nolan McLean, who was a two-way player, and he was a reliever in college. And to see where he has been in the first 4 starts. His start, again, like I said the other day, was just masterful against the Phillies. It's a very, very difficult lineup, an extremely difficult lineup. So you see the Mets farm system taking a major step forward. That's why you don't want to spend a lot of money on pitching. Because if you could develop the kind of pitching the Mets have here, and the Mets have some other guys too. Another pitcher starting Double-A you need to keep an eye on is Will Watson. Who's the Mets' 11th best prospect. Keep an eye on him for next year. He's down Double-A. And of course, can't forget about Brandon Sprout. But there are a lot of pitchers the Mets have that are under the radar. Jonathan was under the radar 2 years ago. There was no radar for him. And to see the hard work that he has put in to where that he is really the best pitching prospect in the game right now. That is something to be, that is a credit to him. It's a credit to the Mets developmental system, a credit to the Mets farm system, and to scouts and everybody that believed in this kid. And you're seeing it right now coming to fruition. And the Mets have to be careful with the innings, obviously. He's got a lot of innings under his belt now in comparison to what he had last year. So it's going to have to monitor that. But I thought he managed this game rather well, especially after those first 2 difficult innings where he's sitting on the bench for about a half hour, you know. But anyway, let's get to the game a little bit. Obviously, they scored 19 runs. They had the first 2 big innings. They had 6 home runs in this game. The only annoying thing was that Mendy went to Torrance to pitch in the ninth inning. He shouldn't have done that. Just bring Stanek in. Just get him in there. You know, like you did with Helsley earlier in the game. Just get these guys out of the back end right now. The bottom of the barrel. Get them some innings. You should just brought Stanek to begin with. The big hit in the first inning obviously was Juan Soto's home run to start this game. Absolutely crushed it, and he's going to drive in 100 runs. So everybody complaining about this guy's had a failed season. He's going to drive in 100 runs, score 100 runs. You know, probably maybe steal 30 bases, maybe have 100 walks, have an on base of over 400, and close to 900 OPS. That is not a failed season. That's a great season under anybody's measure. And the people that have been complaining about him since day one look foolish as we get close to the season. Got about 20-something games left in the year. 27 games left in the season. He's going to get those 19 RBIs. That's all he needs. And for a guy like him, that is pocket change when it comes to RBIs. Pete Alonso also, he went 3 for 6 in the game, had a home run. We'll see if he can break his own record of 131. I don't think it's going to be close. Mark Vientos had a home run in the 8th inning, had a big game. He's looked good. Brandon Nimmo had a big game again, went 3 for 4 with 2 home runs, hit a doink in his second home run, and then drove in the first 3. Drove in 3 runs in the first inning as well. And who else? Tyrone Taylor had a good game. The one thing I like about Taylor is that he's a winning player, and we've seen that now. Brett Beatty had a good game with 2 for 4. Luis Torrance hit the home run off the position player in the 8th inning, but he shouldn't get on the mound ever again. I hope they never sent him out. But Tom pitched really well. He gave the 4 runs, but obviously 5 runs or whatever it was. But obviously it wasn't his fault because the Mets, 4 runs because the Mets just played bad defense in that 5th inning. He should have gotten out there with just having given up a run. But he only gave up 6 hits. He didn't walk anybody. That's a key. And he struck out 6. He didn't get his first strikeout, I guess, until the 3rd inning. But he's going to start racking up strikeouts very quickly Um, I guess he'll be pitching next Saturday, I think. Maybe next Sunday. We'll see. Ryan Helsley came in, and Castillo came in. Torrance, don't ever want to see him on the mound again. And Ryan Stanek. But this is all about Jonah Tong. He looked pretty good. And, we heard about how he was he sort of, imitated the motion of Tim Lincecum. It was that MLB posted the pictures, and it's just exactly how you would think. It looks piece by piece like Lincecum. 97 pitches, 63 strikes. That's pretty good. So he threw like 34 balls. That's not bad. So he really had an overall good night. He was able to manage the game. It's very difficult to manage games when you are sitting on the bench for many, many minutes, for an hour. I mean, really, sat on the bench for a total of an hour in the first 2 innings. So he was able to manage the game. I think his poise in the third inning and the fourth inning tells you what kind of player he is. And he's just a good boy. I mean, really. He's just a good boy. I mean, I hate to say. I mean, I hate to be so like. It's not meant to be the meaning, but that's that's the feeling. That's a good thing. That's a compliment, believe me, on my part. But good win. Unfortunately, I don't know if the Reds won tonight. I don't have the information here, but the Mets are starting to pull away a little bit from them. Unfortunately, because of the loss last night, they did not. The scum-sucking Phillies. Couldn't beat they beat the stupid scum-sucking Braves. The Braves, boy, they laid down. The Braves will lay down, So I did scum-suckers. Well, thank you for watching this video, and of course, please subscribe to Baseball Hut. This was an exciting night. This was a great night for the Mets, and this is a big step because if they can get some kind of stability with this rotation with Tong and with McLean in there, the Cowboy, this is going to be a very difficult team to beat, especially when we get into October. So, I want to thank you for coming by. Please subscribe, and I'll see you later. Now, welcome back to the Prospect Hut, and here's the Mets update on what happened on Wednesday. This is the Mets Minor Leagues. This is the Mets Minor League channel. It's from Mesmerized. Jacob Reimer did it again. But what did he do? Well, it's funny you should ask. Jacob Reimer and A.J. Ewing continue to be two of the best players in the AA Eastern League, despite being there for only a couple of weeks on their promotion from High A. Now, the one thing about the Mets minor leagues, couple of things. They were named by ESPN as the #1 farm system in baseball. The best pitching prospect is going to be pitching for the Mets on Friday. That's Jonah Tong. And Nolan McLean is just kicking ass. Cowboys kicking ass in the way he's been pitching. And the Mets have a whole bunch of guys that are getting very close. Again, very, very close to the major leagues. Let's start in Syracuse. The Scranton Wilkes-Barre, whatever the name is, defeated the Mets 6-1. Jet Wings went 0 for 4. He had a home run on Thursday night, you mentioned. Carson Bench went 1 for 4. His OPS, since he was promoted, 618. Luis Angel Acuna went 1 for 3 of an RBI. Ryan Clifford went 1 for 3 of a double and a walk. His OPS 833. So he's done a good job since he's gone to AAA. He was on the restricted list for a couple of days. I don't know why. Carson Bench was also hurt, so he missed some time. The Mets got great news with center field prospect Carson Bench returned to the lineup after a short IL stint. It's also supposed to be a good night for Francisco Alvarez, but he got hit, on the hand, and he fractured his left pinky. It'll be interesting to see what's going to happen with him, how long he'll be out. Right-handed pitcher Justin Hageman pitched 4 in the third innings, gave up 7 hits, 4 earned runs, no walks, and 3 strikeouts to his ERA 6.12. Both Richard Lovelady, who pitched a third of an inning and 1 in the third innings, and Dylan Ross pitched 2 innings, had scoreless as for the Syracuse bullpen. Ross had held AAA hitters to a 447 OPS over his last 20 games. Keep an eye on him. He might get a call up in September. We'll see. AA, the Somerset Patriots defeated the Binghamton Rome Ponies. That's the Yankees of AA affiliate. Chris Stroud went 0 for 2 with a walk, a hit by pitch, and a run scored. His OPS in the season in Binghamton is 745. Jacob Reimer went 2 for 4 with a home run, a double, 2 RBIs. His OPS 893. It's all at AA, and he had a great year in Brooklyn. Center field A.J. Ewing went 2 for 4 with stolen base and a run scored. His OPS 893 as well. Ryan is hitting .512 with 5 home runs and 14 RBIs in his last 12 games. 21-year-old has 17 home runs and 71 RBIs this season. 109 games between Brooklyn and Binghamton. He's got a chance to be a really good everyday player. It was a 7th straight multi-hit game for Ewing, and he's hitting .500 with 5 stolen bases during that span. The top 100 prospect is up to 55 steals for the season. Wow. He's just dominated. A left-handed pitcher, Jonathan Santucci, pitched 4 1/3 innings. He had 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 5 runs, 4 earned runs, 1 walk, and 7 strikeouts. He's got an ERA of 3.00. Righties Ben Simon pitched an inning in 2/3. Jordan Geber pitched an inning, and Ryan Lambert pitched an inning with 2 strikeouts for Binghamton. The hard-throwing Lambert had a 1.96 ERA and 55 strikeouts and 36 and 2/3 innings for Binghamton. He was the Mets draft pick last year. We're going to be talking a lot about him in spring training. That's for sure. In Brooklyn, the Cyclones defeated the Renegades 8-7. 8-7. Colin Houck went for 3 for an RBI, a walk, a stolen base to a .596 OPS. Boston Barrow went 3 for 5 with an RBI, 2 walks, 2 stolen bases, and he's got 28 on the season. And he's got a .603 OPS. Marco Vargas went 1 for 5. He also had 2 stolen bases. He's got 37 on the year. John Bay went 1 for 2 with a home run and 3 RBIs. A lot of Met players, unsigned draft picks, have been going crazy in St. Lucie and in Brooklyn. Bay signs an undrafted free agent, has a 1,108 OPS and 6 stolen bases in his first 19 pro games between St. Lucie and Brooklyn. Houck has an 838 OPS in August after a disastrous start to his Brooklyn career. Oh, that's good, because he's another player that was a prospect. That's number 1 pick from 2 years ago. And you hope that maybe he can recapture his prospect status. I don't know. It's weird when players, you never hear a player is coming back after they've lost their status. Irvin Coder pitched 5 innings. This is his Brooklyn debut. He had 5 hits, 4 earned runs, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts. The Lakeland Flying Tigers defeated the St. Lucie Mets 3-1. Jose Siri on a rehab assignment went 0 for 0 with a walk and a hit by pitch. Jesse Winker also do rehab, went 0 for 2 with a strikeout. Mitch Foyt went 0 for 3 with a walk. Antonio Jimenez went 1 for 4. Jonathan Jimenez on the mound pitched 4 innings. He had 3 hits, no runs, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, and he's got an ERA on the season 1.77. Right-handed Jorge De Leon threw a perfect 9th inning with 2 strikeouts and was up to 99 miles per hour for his fastball. Rehabbing Oliver Ortega also tossed a scoreless inning. He's been hurt much of the season after signing a minor league deal. He has 45 games of major league experience. Interesting. Maybe we might see him coming up very soon. So let me know what you think about this video, and I'll see you later. Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Fight, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Host Hunter, welcome back to the Baseball Hut 2, and hopefully you like this video. And then subscribe. But as you know, one of the big problems in Major League Baseball is pitchers getting injured all the time. And it's an epidemic. A part of it is the players throw very hard. The team's going to maximize the mileage out of the arms. Also, there is a side note that the teams don't care if you have to go under the knife. And in fact, it is encouraged by the medical industry that you get surgery. It doesn't seem like the medical industry wants to prevent all these injuries that pitchers get. And it tells you also how difficult it is to throw a ball very hard when you see pitchers get blood clots in their shoulders. We saw that with Zach Wheeler just recently. Unfortunately, we saw that Matt Harvey in the past and a few other players of note have had that issue. But Curt Schilling, great Major League pitcher, pitched for the Orioles, the Diamondbacks, the Orioles, the Red Sox. Oh, he has he's put out some advice for pitchers. Now, in my opinion, he's a Hall of Famer. It's not about politics; it's about what the player did on the field. He was one of the great postseason performers. Of course, he pitched great for the Phillies for a long time. I had a front row seat to watch him pitch against the Mets. This guy was a real horse, you know. And this is a guy that, quite frankly, based on his time as a everyday regular pitcher in the regular season and his postseason, those things add up to a Hall of Fame career. And but he has some advice. This is a guy who pitched a long time. He pitched a very long time. I don't believe he had too many injuries to his arm. So this is a guy that knows how to pitch. Believe it or not, he's a guy that stayed healthy in his career. This is from Alec. Curt Schilling tells pitchers how they can create deception and keep their arms healthier. Former Red Sox great argues a simpler windup and delayed effort until the throw can deliver deception. That's true. Watch the guys that pitched a long time and didn't have any injuries. We got another guy is Greg Maddux. Another guy, John Smoltz. He had some injuries here and there. And of course, Tom Glavine. Those guys, you know, Tom Glavine, John Smoltz, Curt Schilling, Randy Johnson. Find out what made them so great that they were able to stay healthy. And that's an era before this one. But that needs to be looked at. It's not too long ago. It's a hotly debated topic around baseball. At a youth and professional level, what's the explanation for the concerning rise in injuries among pitchers? There are several competing viewpoints, but most coalesce around one central idea. Though harder with more effort over a longer period of time has created an epidemic of arm injuries. This isn't just an issue in Major League Baseball, though, of course, it's most visible at that level. It's becoming more and more common in youth baseball as well, as a new story in the New York Times points out. In an effort to impress coaches, other players, and potential scouts, kids are throwing harder and harder at younger ages. I think I saw some kid throwing 95 miles an hour, 13 years old in the Little League World Series. Just crazy. And it's created the potential for injury. And immediately or down the road as innings pile up. Quote, we're still trying to figure it out here at the big league level, how to keep guys healthy. Jeremy Hefton, the pitching coach for the New York Mets, told the Times. And increasingly, those concerns are making their way down to youth baseball. As the Times story explains, there's been a dramatic rise in pitchers throwing harder and harder thanks in part to organizations like Perfect Game that track velocity rankings. And legendary foreign pitcher Curt Schilling has some thoughts on what's exacerbating the epidemic of injuries. Responding to a comment on X, Schilling this week explained how the windup can both create beneficial deception for pitchers and reduce unnecessary stress on the arm. Quote, your windup is part of your arsenal, Schilling posted. Quote, my windup was done at 85 miles per hour, slow, easy, and then the ball comes out at 95. It's part of the art and part of your arsenal. Always want a simpler windup, simple math, right? Less moving parts means less chance for error and mistakes. The other main problem, effort should not begin until you start the throw. Sounds like common sense advice, right? The more movement, the greater probability for unnecessary movement that adds stress or reducing efficiency. Maybe that's part of the injury problem. In the endless chase for more velocity, kids and even adults are adding more motion to their windups, even before their arm starts moving, hoping to generate more force. It's probably effective too. At least they're throwing with more effort and increasing harder throws. But it's also potentially putting more stress on arms and when it's not necessary. Schilling's right, the windup is part of a pitcher's arsenal. Deception and unexpected velocity can be extremely effective tools. Don't offer hitters timing with a slow windup and exploit with high velocity. As he describes, might be one of the best ways to take the opposition out of their game. Simple math might also be the answer to keeping pitchers healthier too. I wouldn't mention this pitcher. Just came to mind. Former, the long Met great, Keith Hernandez. This is a guy that he didn't have this fast pitching motion, but he pitched for quite a few years. He never had injuries to his arms. He usually had injuries to his legs. But that's a guy that, he would throw and the ball would just jump on a hitter. He had one of the easiest going motions, but that ball would jump. That's a good example of, of using your windup as part of your motion, part of your arsenal, part of the way you pitch. And a lot of times with these pitchers, they don't use their legs a lot. Noah Syndergaard is also a guy that didn't use much of his legs. And obviously he hurt his arm and had all kinds of arm injuries. Jacob deGrom, has a pretty good windup. It's a long windup. But it's not a lot of I don't know if he understands that it's part of his, I'm sure he does. But that's another example of a different kind of motion. But he's always had to deal with so many injuries in his career with his arm. But you let me know what you think about this. And of course, please subscribe to Baseball Head too, and I'll see you later. Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Head, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion. Your host, Hunter. Welcome back to the Baseball Head. Hopefully you like this video. And hit that subscribe button. This is the kind of game that you start dreaming about what's going to come next. Because when you get young pitching that comes in here and dominates like this, and the amazing thing about Nolan McLean tonight, just in general, is he's not the best Mets prospect as a pitcher. He's their second best prospect. The big boy goes on Friday, and he's a different animal. And it'll be interesting to see how he pitches. But tonight is all about Nolan McLean. He had all of his pitches working. I was really able to really focus in on his pitches. Sweeper, his off-speed pitches are nasty. Sweeper, the changeup, the curveball, the slider, everything worked. Everything worked tonight. His ability to manage these innings, you don't see too much of that kind of game management from a young pitcher. And this is a guy that really has not, he just took up pitching regularly last year. And the Mets drafted him, like Gary said during the game, as a reliever. But he didn't really start pitching regularly until last June, July. And he only had 2 pitches coming into the Mets organization. But they have 6 very effective pitches and developed them over the last 2 years. Is just incredible. If he stays healthy, just looking at him, the sky's the limit. But he had everything working. And there was really up until the 8th inning. He didn't have any issues with this game. He had 49 pitches going into the 6th inning. He wasn't throwing a lot of pitches. It wasn't like a lot of like long innings. He wasn't struggling with his command. He didn't walk anybody in this game. And the numbers in the first 3 starts of his career, just amazing. His first 3 starts, no Met has ever done that. Doc Gooden didn't do that. Tom Seaver, Jacob deGrom, down the line, David Cohn, Ron Darling, none of these guys did that. And the fact that he has done that says how well he's pitched. But going over these 3 starts, he's pitched 20 in the 3rd innings. He's given up 2 earned runs to an ERA of 0.89, 21 strikeouts, 10 hits. He gave up 4 hits tonight and 4 walks, and he didn't walk anybody tonight. So he has just been masterful. There's really not a lot. There's nothing to everything's great. And like I said, the amazing thing is he's the second best prospect on the mound. But now the Mets are now 4 games behind the Phillies. They play them next week in Philadelphia. It's not going to be easy. The Phillies play well at home. And all the Phillies issues really manifested itself in this series. One, they clearly spooked by the Citifield. Clearly are not a good defensive team. The corners are bad in the outfield. The third baseman, it's a terrible third baseman. Bryce Harper should be back in the outfield. I talked a lot about over the last 2 days about their defense. But they still have a good bullpen. The starting staff is pretty strong even without Wheeler. It's going to be a tough 30 games. or less than 30 games or 28 games, whatever it is now. But when you get the kind of starting pitching the Mets have gotten from McLean and from Peterson a little bit, and Clay Holmes, and hopefully we'll see what Tong does on Friday. Then get Tong to pitch like he has in the minor leagues, and he is completely dominating the minor leagues. Some people over the last few weeks have been saying that he might be the best pitching prospect in baseball, which you can't believe seeing McLean pitch these first 3 starts. But with these 2 young guys in this rotation, it is going to be extremely difficult for the Mets to be beat down the stretch. When you get great starting pitching, when you're in the pennant race, it starts to snowball. But more than that, it's like momentum. It's like a train. It goes faster and faster and faster and faster. And, the next guy out there will want to pitch just as well as the guy before that. So it's like, that's the thing about rotations, is sometimes you get guys that support each other. Back in the 80s, you saw that. Back in 2015, we saw that. It's very similar to 2015 in a lot of ways. Because once they started bringing up Noah Syndergaard and Steven Matz with DeGrom and Matt Harvey here, it was like a building momentum. And I'm feeling that right now. Now, talked a lot about this team being a bad team, and they played really poorly. But when you bring in young players and young pitching, it just changes everything. It really does. Now, I would bring up, of course, the Mets offense, which, again, scored another 6 runs tonight. And, of course, they got big hits from Juan Soto, Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso in the 3rd inning. And got more contributions from Mark Vientos. Where have you been all year, young man? Where have you been all year? But now he's coming and he's pushing. He's finally, figured out again how to hit again. He was trying to do too much. We all saw it. And now he's just going up the middle again, going to right field, taking the pitch where it's thrown. And that home run he hit, that was a no doubter. The second that ball made contact with the bat, you knew it was gone. And really, with all these pieces working, hopefully they can take this into the series against the Marlins. That's not going to be easy. The Marlins are a pain in the ass. This is their World Series when they play the Mets. They don't like it when the Mets go down to Miami and they dominate Miami. They give the Mets all kinds of fits when they come up here. We've seen this for 25 years, 30 years. I remember back in 98, they were giving the Mets problems in 98. So this is not going to be an easy series against them. But one game at a time. Get tomorrow, and then you worry about the next day. Obviously, the big game will be on Friday with Jonah Tong pitching on Friday. And it'll be interesting to see how he does in that pressure cook. They mentioned during the game how poised McLean is. And I guess they didn't realize, or maybe they failed to mention, he played for a big program in Oklahoma, and got to say it like that. And he played in a lot of big games, both as a pitcher and as a everyday player. So he knows these pressure games. It'll be interesting to see how Tom pitches, because he's not pitching a big spot. This will be the biggest game of his life on Friday. It'll be interesting to see how he controls his emotions, how he controls the game. And he's not American. He's from Canada. It'll be interesting to see how he handles this big spot. But the Mets have pushed him, pretty hard. And he only had 2 starts in AAA. And I guess they kind of figured he dominated them in AAA so much that there's no reason to waste his innings up down there in Syracuse. It was smart that they're going to do that on Friday. But the Met offense was great again tonight. They got great pitching from Nolan McLean. And that's it. But I would mention, again, Brett Beatty had a good game again, 2 for 4. Mark Vientos he's on a roll. He's got now 49 RBIs. It'll be interesting to see where he finishes RBI-wise. Juan Soto has 79 RBIs. He's got a good chance to get 100 RBIs. and he has an outside chance to be a 30-30 man. He's got 22 stolen bases. So that's a big goal. And for people complaining about his season, I think he's had a great season. And the batting average is going up in terms of men in scoring position. That was a big hit he had in that third inning to get the scoring, get the second run in. So he's coming. I mean, he's going to be putting up big numbers when we get to when that bell finishes. When that bell finally ends, when we get to the final bell, aside from him not being able to hit men in scoring position up until recently, I have all the confidence in the world he's going to get a big hit this season. And starting to see it coming around. But it was a great night tonight. They swept the scum-sucking Phillies. They're scum-sucking too, just like the Braves. And just got to worry about tomorrow. Get tomorrow's game against the Marlins. That is a downer. Going from the Phillies to the Marlins is a downer. And the Phillies have to sort of ask themselves, what you gonna do when the Mets go down to Philadelphia? And what you gonna do if the Mets have to face you again in postseason? They did not do great postseason against the Mets, and obviously they don't play well at Citifield. Obviously, it's in their head. It's interesting in this, of course, in this series, Kyle Schwarber didn't do anything, went 0 for 11. Bryce Harper had a couple of hits tonight, but did nothing really. It's great to see the Mets playing great. Going to make the Mets great again, and they're on their way back from the abyss, that dark abyss they've been in all season. But when you get great starting pitching, you went from a starting pitching staff that couldn't finish the fourth inning, and now you got this young guy, 2 starts in a row, 7th inning, 8th inning. Back in the day, he would have went out into the 9th inning. But you could tell he was laboring a little bit, that he was kind of gassed a little bit in that 8th inning. But back in the day, they would have sent him back out. But just an awesome night, and a real pleasure watching him pitch. And it's nothing like young pitching that'll turn the season around. And Mets, they got a lot of young players coming now. They have a lot of young players. And it's going to be fun the next few years, but got to get tomorrow and worry about the next day. That's it, just tomorrow. But you let me know what you think about this video. And of course, thank you for watching the Baseball Hut. This was a great night. A sweep of the Phillies. The Mets out 4 games behind. And Nolan McLean is the cowboy. The cavalry has arrived. And the cavalry has a cowboy at the helm. And we'll see how Tom goes on Friday. So, thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe button and follow me on Facebook. And I'll see you later. Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Hut. The amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one. The People's Champion. Your host, Don. Welcome back to the Baseball Hut 2. And hopefully you like this video. Hit that subscribe button. As you know, Mets fan, as you can tell, and whenever I can get to a chance to goof on other teams, I will take that chance. I'll take the risk and have a little fun. And when we see former players and great players do it, it is even just as funny. And obviously, one of the great players in the history of the Mets is Keith Hernandez. He's the greatest defensive first baseman in the history of the game. Should be in the Hall of Fame based upon that, and based upon the fact that he won the MVP, won 2 World Series. Was a real catalyst for 2 teams. All that added up should be a Hall of Fame career. What's the sum of the parts of the sums, or whatever the hell they call it. His game was that of a winning player, and winning should mean something when we get to the highest level. This guy's been on the mountain twice as a player. But be that as it may, when he talks about things, you take his opinion, not with a grain of salt, you take it serious. And obviously he's been a Mets commentator for 20 plus years. Obviously with Gary Cohen and Ron Darling, they've been together 20 years. But Keith has been a commentator for a long time, going back as the late 90s. And so when Keith speaks, you pay attention to certain things, and there is a major entertainment factor with Keith. You never know what he's going to say. You never know what he's going to do. And I guess he said this on a podcast. Was from Awful Announcer, and he's been very vocal about the Phillies. He does not like the Phillies. I think he kind of has the same attitude as David Wright has when it comes to talking about the Phillies, how hard he is on them. And Keith's not hard on any teams really, other than the Mets for the most part. But he always just rips into the Phillies whenever he gets a chance. Gets his little digs in on them. A few years ago, he said they were a bad defensive team. Now he said something really funny. From Awful Announcing, Keith Hernandez thinks the Phillies are quote-unquote overrated. The Phillies have lost 9 straight games, including the postseason at Citifield. Keith Hernandez doesn't think much of the Philadelphia Phillies. The feeling is mutual. Mets broadcast, the latest jab came on the Mets pod with Connor Rogers and Joe DeMaio. Asked to describe the Phillies in one word, Hernandez didn't bother dressing it up. Overrated, he said. It's funny as hell. This isn't new from the former Mets first baseman. For Philadelphia's improbable 2022 World Series run, Hernandez openly said he was glad to be off a Phillies series, telling SNY executives he hated doing their games. They never seemed to disappoint, he said then. Over the years, and they're hot right now, but I would like to see them. As far as fundamentally, defensively, the Phillies have always been just, not up to it. I mean, Keith doesn't pull any punches when it comes to the Phillies. Philadelphia, of course, didn't go down without a fight. The Phillies went on to play in the World Series. The thing is, Hernandez wasn't entirely wrong. No, Keith isn't wrong about too many things when it comes to things defensively. When it comes to defensively and hitting, that guy is spot on. Spot on. The Phillies were a mess defensively early in 2022 before tightening things up. Alec Bohm stopped booting balls at third, Brandon Marsh stabilized center field, and smarter alignments helped them mask some flaws. By the time they were storming into October, Hernandez himself admitted they'd found out how to win. Quote, they started doing little things because they wanted to get to the World Series. He told MLB.com's Anthony DiComo they wanted the brass ring. But whatever goodwill was built clearly didn't stick. With the Mets having ripped off 9 straight wins against Philly at Citifield, including Brandon Mills' walk-off RBI swing on Tuesday, Hernandez still sees Philadelphia as a little too proud of itself. I tell you, Keith. Keith is a funny guy. He does not like Philly, obviously. I guess his act is pretty much the same as it is. And as for Hernandez, he's in no hurry to eat crow again, at least not until the Phillies finally figured out how to win in Queens. The thing is that, a couple of things. The Philadelphia Phillies team don't like the Mets either, okay? 2 years ago when they beat the Braves in the postseason, they were screaming about the Mets in the clubhouse, which I thought was very bizarre considering the Mets had a terrible year in 2023. They had injuries to Scherzer and Verlander. Pete Alonso missed 2 weeks and basically did not have a good June. The Mets were terrible in June that year. So they were a non-factor throughout the whole season. From that point on, they dug themselves such a deep hole. But here we were hearing about their backup catcher, who's in the minor leagues now. I don't think he's coming back to the majors. Took on America's team, saying that always the Mets, always F the Mets. Well, the Mets weren't playing in the postseason. So when I see the comeuppance of the Phillies and their fans, it is amusing. Okay. Now, last year I went to Philadelphia, watched the Mets just destroy the Phillies down in Citizens Bank Park. But I was smart enough not to wear any kind of Mets hat or Mets shirt that anyone could see, because I knew, being by myself, I was going to go with family. They were going to come, but they couldn't make it because they had to work that weekend. But I could not go by myself wearing a Mets hat like this or my Mets shirt, because I know I would have had a problem. And I didn't park too far from the ballpark, but I didn't want to take any chances. So I know, kind of have an idea of how that fan base is. So I know the fan base is not happy. I know the broadcasters are completely miserable about what's going on. And they try to make a scene that then they're above it all, but they complain more than the Met fans and the Met media does. It's funny to watch. And I would mention the most unprofessional broadcast is the Philadelphia Phillies broadcast, because whenever the Mets go down there, they always try to show Mets fans, in the stands, Mets fans, they look sad, they look like they're going to cry, and they always show them when we get close to the end of the game. Like the Met fans are worried about a game. It's very bizarre. That usually happens. You usually show the team's fans on on a home broadcast, not on the road, not the opposite. So it's a little bizarre that they try to get under the skin of the Met fans. What Met fans are listening to their broadcast or watching their broadcast? Nobody. I'm not watching, but I've seen it. I saw it like 4 years ago when we had the whole nonsense with the lockdown and the broadcast, being very limited. But this is funny because Keith doesn't pull any punches when he talks about these teams, especially defensively. And this is a guy that's been around the block many, many times and seen a lot of teams. So thank you for watching this video. Of course, please subscribe to Baseball Hut 2. I'll see you later. Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion. Your host, and welcome back to the Baseball Hut 2. And hopefully you like this video and hit that subscribe button. I'm recording this video before the third game at Citifield between the Mets and the Phillies. I don't know what the end result's going to be. But if the Mets get a sweep here, this is going to be a fun video. It's going to be a fun video anyway, making fun of Alec Bohm, who's come across to us here at the Hut as a very thin-skinned guy. He lets his emotions run away with him. And he made a fool out of himself on Monday at Citifield. And to be honest with you, the Phillies did not play well at Citifield. They've lost 9 in a row, including the postseason. And the Mets just own them there. I'm going to read and go through this article from Awful Announcing, but you need to watch the entirety of this video. Watch the video, leave comments in the comment section. And, of course, subscribe. Phillies broadcasters blast Alec Bohm over Citifield delay controversy. We went back and checked. That exact thing has been there since 2017. So, as you know, there was that big microphone that got in the way of Alec Bohm. Alec Bohm was just asking questions. Philadelphia Phillies third base wanted to know why a glare of a parabolic microphone Citifield's batter's eye was allowed. For a brief moment, he accidentally lent credence to Philadelphia radio host and WFAN nutjob Spike Eskin's conspiracy theory about the Mets cheating at home. I would mention other teams in the division do play well at Citifield. This has gotten into the Phillies' heads, and it's funny to watch. Eskin spent July pushing the theory that something fishy was happening with the Mets at Citifield, pointing to their stark home road split as evidence worthy of investigation. He stopped short of outright accusation, but repeatedly suggested someone should take a look at what's going on. Well, it doesn't seem like anything. Like I said, other teams have played well at Citifield. The Braves have. Bohm's complaints seemed legitimate initially. Then it turned into a 20-minute delay and drama as umpires made a mountain out of a molehill. The Phillies promptly gave up 10 unanswered runs and managed one base runner in the final 4 outs. And then people were showing up with signs last night on Tuesday making fun of Bohm. And, of course, bringing parabolic mics. Some woman brought one. I don't know how she got in the ballpark with that. This is from John Boy Media. The Mets-Phillies game was delayed extensively due to the Phillies complaining about the glare from a mic. Only one player complained. Gary Cohen called it one of the sillier delays he has seen as his tenure calling Mets games. This goes back to 1989. The Phillies post-game show wasn't as diplomatic. And they're pretty rough. I mean, the Phillies post-game live, they are very rough on the Phillies. They really hit them. They've hit them pretty hard the last 2 nights. Okay, Alec, you had a good defensive game, said Ricky Batalago. I remember him on Phillies post-game live. What really got to me is you caused a 19-minute delay on something that's been there since at least 2017. We went back and checked. That exact thing has been there since 2017. I never noticed it. And I've been there since, we won't get into how far back I go. But, he's a very thin-skinned player. He lets everything bother him. I hate this effing place. That's the real problem here. Alec Bohm complained about stadium equipment that's existed for nearly a decade, only after ground into a double play against a left-handed pitcher, disrupted his team's focus during a crucial division series, and handing Philadelphia's version of QAnon something shiny to point to in the process. The Phillies fell apart immediately after the delay, giving up 10 unanswered runs in what became a 13-3 blowout. Both teams were dealing with the same conditions. The Mets had been facing left-handed starter Christopher Sanchez all game, but the glare wasn't mentioned until Bohm's twin killing. Now, on Tuesday night, the Mets came back on Jesus Luzardo and the Phillies, of course, And Luzardo had a meltdown the first inning. He was complaining about how Juan Soto tossed the ball into his legs on the first or second pitch of the game. He was complaining about the umpiring behind the play, which wasn't good. But he completely got all out of sorts in the middle of the game, got himself tossed after leaving the game. So the Phillies have not done well at Citifield. They strike out like crazy. They're a terrible defensive team. It's a surprise they're in first place, to be honest with you. The timing made it especially damaging. The Phillies entered the series with a 7-game lead, which is now 5 games, over the Mets in the National League East. Now, I don't know what's going to happen on Wednesday night, so keep this in mind. Instead of staying locked in during a pivotal road series, they wasted time arguing about equipment that's been part of the ballpark landscape since the Obama administration. No, it hasn't. Get it right. Since the first Trump administration. What a moron. These guys, they don't know how to write. They're so stupid. Some people are so stupid. Obama wasn't president in 2017. Donald Trump was president, 45th president. He's the 47th president. Philadelphia still maintains a 5-game lead, but this was another classic example of the team finding creative ways to make things harder on themselves. The Phillies have now lost 9 straight at Citifield, including the postseason, 23 of their last 29 in Queens. So they've not played well. The Phillies are a very strange team because they do a lot of good things well. They hit the ball out of the ballpark. They're a good hitting team, but they are very streaky as an offense. They have a great leadoff hitter and Kyle Schwarber. They have a great player in Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper's playing out of position. You have outfielders that can't catch the ball, aside from Harrison Bader. They don't really have a third baseman. Bohm's a terrible third baseman defensively. They're just not a good team as a group. And Trey Turner's range, surprisingly so, is not very good as at shortstop. This is not a well-rounded team. They have a good bullpen. They took a major hit this week, losing Zach Wheeler for the season. Who knows if Zach Wheeler's ever going to come back and be the pitcher that he was before this blood clot was discovered in his arm. And this thoracic outlet syndrome is very serious. We've seen it here with the Mets with Dylan G. He had it back in the early 2010s. Matt Harvey had it. He was never the same after that. He was great at the Tommy John surgery, but after he had that other surgery, the TOA, thoracic outlet syndrome, TOS syndrome, TOS surgery, he was never the same. But the Phillies are in big trouble. Even with the 5-game lead, it's going to be very difficult for them to go far in the postseason with this group. They may have had their chance to win the whole thing 3 years ago, but they lost. They lost the World Series to the Astros. But you let me know what you think about this video. This video, of course, will go up one way or the other after the game on Wednesday night. So I don't know. Obviously, I don't have a time machine to tell you if the Mets swept them or if they got the last game at Citifield. But thank you for watching this video. Of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Hut too. And I'll see you later. Now, welcome back to the Prospect Hub. We talk about Mets prospects, and here's your daily update. We don't have too many more updates to give you. Got another month of Mets minor league baseball, but I'll get you as much content as I can here. But if you watch the video, I need you to watch the entirety of the video. This is from Tuesday's action. Jacob Reimer's on fire for Binghamton. Now, before we get into this video, hit the subscribe button. A lot of stuff's going on with the Mets minor leagues. As you know, Nolan McLean's in the Mets rotation. He's going to make his third start on Wednesday. And, of course, Jonah Tong is going to pitch on Friday for the Mets. And the Mets farm system has also been tapped as the #1 farm system in baseball by ESPN. Mets have top prospects coming to the system. They're either AA, AAA. They're getting awfully close to the major leagues. They're going to help this team out in the near future. Probably likely next year and the year after. On the night Jonah Tong earned his promotion to the big leagues, Mets farm system had more to celebrate, capped off by Nick Roselli's walk-off homer for the Brooklyn Cyclones. Jacob Reimer just keeps hitting for AA Binghamton. The Scranton Wilkes-Barre Club, and they didn't put the last name, defeated the Syracuse Mets 9-4. Jeb Williams went for 5. He's gotten off to a slow start since he got promoted. A double, an RBI, a walk. His OPS is .592. Luis Angel Acuna went 2 for 4. Jarrett Young went 1 for 3. Jeb Williams walked twice and stole his first AAA base, but has seen his OPS drop sharply since his hot start. Syracuse hit 5 home runs on Sunday. Ryan Cliff was placed on the temporary inactive list. I don't know what that means. Brandon Waddell pitched 5 innings, gave up it screwed up the whole thing here. Anyway, since returning from the injured list, Waddell has struggled, giving up at least 2 earned runs in every outing since rejoining Syracuse. The Binghamton Round Ponies defeated the Somerset Patriots 8-1. Chris Suarez went 2 for 3 with a double and RBI, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. His OPS 748. They screwed the way they wrote this, so screwy. DeAndre Smith went 3 for 5. Interesting about him. I don't know much about him. He's not a ranked prospect. You're just going to see he makes it to the major leagues. That tells you the strength of the Mets farm system, because he's had a very good year. 2 runs scored, a double and RBI. Jacob Ryman went 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs. His OPS 867. Jacob Ryman delivered his second straight 3-hit game, driving in 2 runs to push his OPS 867. The 21-year-old has emerged as one of the standouts in the Mets system this season. Ryman is hitting .512. Wow. For .574 on-base percentage, .927 OPS. They screwed this whole thing up, the way they wrote this. With 4 home runs and 12 RBIs in his last 11 games. I would say to take some of these numbers with a grain of salt. This is poorly written. A.J. Ewing had 2 hits in the game, raising his AA OPS 886 in 13 games. Ewing was ESPN's updated top 100 MLB prospects at number 74, and Ryman was in the next 10 group. R.J. Gordon pitched 5 innings, gave up 3 hits, 1 run earned, 2 walks, and 8 strikeouts. Gordon has been in mono consistency between Brooklyn and Binghamton this year, posting ERAs of 3.06 and 3.13. The Oregon product boosts solid strikeout stuff, 10.1 Ks per 9 innings, below walk rate at 3.5 walks per 9. That's not that low. It's just not that low. Anything under 3 is low. 3.5 is average at best. The Brooklyn Cyclones defeat the Hudson Valley Renegades on a walk-off. Nick Roselli went 2 for 3 with a 2-run home run, a double, 4 RBIs. Colin Houck went 2 for 3 with 2 runs and RBI. Marco Vargas went 2 for 4 and to turn the lead in the 8th and failing to their final out. Boy, oh boy. The Cyclones rallied with a single and a walk before Nick Roselli capped it with a walk-off 3-run home run. Brent Bakes pitched an inning, gave 1 hit, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts. In Low A, the St. Lucie Mets defeated the Lakeland Flying Tigers 5-4. Randy Guzman went 1 for 4 with a home run and RBI. Mitch Voigt went 1 for 4, and there is a highlight reel of Mitch Voigt making all these unbelievably disgusting plays. I mean, just sick plays all over the field. It's amazing. Had a double, run scored, a stolen base. That's number 3 pick from this year. Antonio Jimenez went 1 for 2 with 3 RBIs. Trey Schneider went 1 for 1. Guzman has torched Low A pitching this season, slashing .317 with 964 OPS and 11 extra base hits. Right-handed pitcher Luis Alvarez pitched 2/3 of an inning, gave a hit, 3 walks, and a strikeout. Now, of course, please like this video and subscribe to the Prospect Hut. This was a poorly written update for you. Oh my goodness, so much information left out. But big night was for Jacob Ryman, and of course we had a walk-off with Nick Roselli, and Mitch Voigt had a lot of highlight reels. Had a lot of highlight plays in the game on Tuesday. He's not gotten off to a good start with the bat, but he's gotten off to a great start with the glove. So he is a guy to keep an eye on. He could go to the Mets system very quickly because he was in college at a big program in Michigan. But you let me know what you think about this video. Of course, please subscribe to the Prospect Hut, and I'll see you later. Big news for the Mets. They're going to be calling up their best pitching prospect, Jonah Tong. He's been considered over the last few weeks. I've been reading a lot of stuff about him, that he is the best pitching prospect in the game. ESPN has also put out a updated rankings for the farm systems. The Mets are considered to have the best farm system in the major leagues. And, of course, Jonah Tong is an example of the hard work the Mets have done over the last few years to improve the farm system. and to make a pitcher that was a 7th-round pick 3 years ago by Billy Epler, and 2 years ago he was walking the ballpark. He had 6 walks per 9 innings. To now he is probably considered the top pitching prospect in the game. The report is, and Carlos Mendoza just said it a little while ago, he's going to start on Friday against the Marlins. So this is big news. So if you're not on X, you didn't see this. And of course, please follow me on Facebook and subscribe to the Baseball Hut, or just getting word of this now. I almost drove off the road. Hearing the news that the Mets put out there, and this is great news. This is one step the Mets are getting even better and not having to spend a lot of money. So that's good news. And thank you for watching. Have a good day, and I'll see you later. Now, welcome back to the Prospect Hub. I'm going to go to the Mets weekly report. And really, this was a big week because the Dominican Summer League ended. And we've had some rather interesting performances by those kids down there. And that's what they are, kids. But before we get into this video, I need you to hit the subscribe button. Of course, like this video. Let me know what you think. This is from Mesmerized. Elian Pena flashes first. Elian Pena finishes and a flash his first pro season. The DSL coming to an end this past week. Top international prospect Elian Pena is officially done with his first professional season. His season started in the worst way imaginable, going 0 for 26, but he rebounded in a huge way. His final numbers were outstanding as he finished with a slash line of .292 at batting average, .421 slugging on base percentage. Wow, .528 slugging percentage for a .949 OPS with 9 home runs, 33 RBIs, and 21 stolen bases. The 17-year-old has a bright future in the Mets organization. Will look to keep the momentum going in 2026 when he could be playing stateside. I would say he will be playing stateside because they're going to want to challenge him. He's got a good left-handed swing too. AAA. The Syracuse Mets had a rough series against the Indianapolis Indians, dropping 4 of 6 games to lose the series. Mets have now dropped 2 consecutive series and are 33-18 in the second half and 64-62 overall. Ryan Clifford had his best week yet in AAA, going 5 for 13 with 2 home runs. Clifford maintains the minors' home run lead with 26 and has an .840 OPS in 10 games with Syracuse. Jared Young also shined with a team-leading 9 hits and 18 at-bats. He recorded 3 doubles and 2 home runs as he raised his season OPS to .964. Jonah Tong's second start in AAA was nothing short of brilliant as he tossed 6 scoreless innings with 8 strikeouts. Tong has yet to allow a run in 11 2/3 innings or 2 starts since being promoted. So he's going to be pitching on Friday for the Mets against the Nationals. Against the Marlins. Tyler McGill impressed in another rehab start, allowing just a hit and a walk in 5 scoreless innings. He struck out 4 in the effort, and he continues to look good on the mound and his rehab. Double-A. The Binghamton Roan Ponies split their 6-game set with the Sea Dogs, being outscored 31-26. The Roan Ponies, like the Syracuse Mets, are also 33-18 in the second half and 78-40 overall. Jacob Reimer had an excellent week at the plate, going 8 for 17 with 2 doubles, a triple, and 2 home runs. He had 3 walks and a stolen base while driving a team-high 5 runs. Reimer has become very comfortable at the Double-A level, now owns an .857 OPS in 46 games. A.J. Yoon recorded a whopping 12 hits and 27 at-bats over 6 games this series, recording 5 doubles, 2 walks, and 4 stolen bases. Yoon's 5 runs were the most on the team as he raised his Double-A OPS to .895 over 12 games. Ken Parada had a strong series with the bat, going 6 for 20 with 2 doubles and a home run. Parada continues to provide optimism and a rebound season as he owns a .760 OPS on the year. Early in the season, his OPS were in the 400s. So to see that he's finishing up strong is a good start for him. And it's a real first success in professional baseball, as he's not a prospect anymore, I don't think. Just to see what the Mets do with him in the offseason. R.J. Gordon delivered one of his best starts this season, pitching 7 scoreless innings with 7 strikeouts. It was just Gordon's 7th appearance in Binghamton. He owns a 3.29 ERA with the club. Jack Winger also provided a quality start, allowing 2 runs in 6 1/3 innings. Winger allowed 7 hits and a walk while striking out 7, so his ERA dropped to 2.73. Jonathan Santucci Pitched just 5 innings in his start, but he didn't allow a run and struck out 3. Santucci has been brilliant in Double-A, on a 2.34 ERA and 7 starts. And obviously he's the Mets' number 2 pick from last year from Duke University. High A Brooklyn. The Brooklyn Cyclones lost 4 of 6 games against the Aberdeen Ironbirds in the latest series. The Cyclones are now 22-32 in the second half and 68-52 overall. It was generally a rough week at the plate for Cyclones bats, but not for Trace Wilhoit, who has been consistently great all season, mostly for low A St. Lucie. Wilhoit went 5 for 16 with a double and a home run, the only long ball from Brooklyn in the series. He stole a base and scored 4 runs, raising his high A OPS through 10 games to 994. Colin Houck was the only other batter to have a respectable series, as he went 4 for 17 with a double and a triple. He also walked twice and drove in 2 runs. It's been a struggle for Houck since joining Brooklyn, and he has just a 574 OPS in 45 games with the team. Joel Diaz had the best start of the week for the Cyclones, tossing 7 scoreless innings with just a hit and a walk allowed. He struck out 6 and lowered his ERA on the year to 3.71. Will Watson also had scoreless outing, his over 6 innings, and it led to a promotion to Double-A Binghamton. In Watson's start, he allowed just a hit, 2 walks with 5 strikeouts. In 14 games with Brooklyn, he owned a sparkling 1.70 ERA. Franklin Gomez was also impressive, allowing 2 runs, 1 earned over 5 innings with 7 strikeouts. Gomez has looked excellent since joining the Cyclones, recording 1.96 ERA in 4 starts. Low A. St. Lucie Mets were the only Mets minor league affiliate to win their series this past week, taking 4 of 6 games from the Palm Beach Cardinals. The Mets are on fire in the second half with a 37-17 record to put them at 71-48. Undrafted free agent John Bay had a scorching week at the plate, earning him a promotion to High A Brooklyn. Bay went 10 for 20 with a double, 2 home runs, and 10 RBIs. Bay has done nothing but hit since joining St. Lucie, and he leaves for Brooklyn with a 10.57 OPS. Diverson Gutierrez had a good week at the plate, going 5 for 15 with 2 doubles, 4 RBIs, and 4 walks to no strikeouts. He scored 5 runs and raised his OPS for the year to 682. Channing Austin also looked good with 2 appearances and 1 start, which he tossed 3 scoreless innings. He allowed just a hit and a walk, also hitting a bat, and he struck out 2. Austin now has a 4.43 ERA in 19 games. And of course, here we have the DSL Mets. Both DSL squads played just 1 game this week as their season came to a close. The orange team won to improve to 31-25, while the blue team lost to drop to 19-37. And that's pretty much it. That's the story. Player of the week. On the offense, we had John Bay, an outfielder with St. Lucie. John Bay came out of seemingly nowhere for the St. Lucie Mets, signed as an undrafted free agent out of Austin, PA. Bay went 10 for 20 with a double, 2 home runs, and 10 RBIs. The minute he joined the team, he hit, and now he's been rewarded with a promotion to the Brooklyn Cyclones. On the pitching side, Joel Diaz is not a notable prospect, on a 3.77 ERA professionally, including a 3.71 ERA this season. But his latest start was as dominant as you can get. He allowed just 2 base runs and no runs in 7 innings. By far his best outing of the year. So, you let me know what you think about this video and what's going on in the Mets farm system. They're ranked number 1 by ESPN. So this is a major upgrading for this team and this franchise. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Now, welcome back to the Prospect Hut. I hope you like this video. Hit that subscribe button. As you know, the Mets have called up Jonah Tong. He's going to pitch on Friday. I might miss some of that game, unfortunately, but I'll be able to follow along a little bit. And of course, on Wednesday, they're going to pitch Nolan McLean against the Phillies. So we're starting to see the machinations for all the hard work of the Mets farm system over the last few years. Mets have not traded any major prospect since the Javi Baez deal. So that's 4 years of just collecting prospects and developing, guys. And it is now starting to pay off. ESPN put out a new list of the top farm systems in baseball, and the Mets surprisingly are number 1. I was surprised. I think MLB.com had them at number 7, but to see them so high, it'd be interesting to see. Interesting where other publications have them. Baseball America was always the number 1 publication when it came to farm systems. I'd like to see where they're at. If you, I don't know when they're going to put it out, but this from SNY.TV. Headline: Mets farm system ranked number 1 in MLB on an updated ESPN Top 30 list. New York system is full of high-end talent that's close to the majors, and we're starting to see them up now. And you're starting to see the results of the Mets farm system with the emergence of Brett Beatty playing well, Mark Viento's coming around again. I would think that Ronnie Mauricio probably gets sent down to the minors once Jose Siri is back and once Jesse Winker is back for the stretch run. Dave Stearns placed a huge emphasis on the Mets' drafting and development when he took over as the president of baseball operations. And before the team was viewed as a serious contender, Stearns was smartly reluctant to part with any of New York's most valued prospects via trade. The result, a few years into Stearns' tenure, is that the Mets farm system is now viewed as one of the very best in baseball. And on ESPN's new Top 30 list, the Mets system is ranked number 1. Huge credit should go to former general manager Billy Epler and company, who helped assemble this system. Billy Epler is an unsung hero because of all the prospects he brought in after he came in as a general manager. He didn't do a great job in terms of bringing in pitching for the major league team, but he did a great job throughout the whole system. And his trades and his drafting was spot on, and we're starting to see it now. After being ranked number 9 before the season, New York has made the jump to the top of the list due to, in part, of the amount of potentially high-impact prospects who are close to the majors. Writes ESPN's Kylie McDaniel. At this time next year, I'd expect 6 of New York's top 8 prospects, if not more, have either graduated or be up in the big leagues to stay. So this ranking won't last very long, but that's also because the Mets will have a roster teeming with useful big leaguers, the whole reason this list exists. Other prospects McDaniel is added to above. Nolan McLean is about to make his 3rd big league start. We talked about that. While fellow right-handers Brandon Sproat and Jonathan Tong was being promoted on Friday. Sproat and Tom, both currently with AAA Syracuse, could debut before the season's over. That's a possibility with Sproat. On the position player side, outfielder Jet Williams and outfielder Carson Bench were recently promoted to Syracuse. They've gotten off to sluggish starts, and Ben just got hurt, so he's on the injured list. The expectation is Williams and Bench will have both debut during the 2026 season. And Jet Williams got off to a slow start. He played AAA last year, but he's got off to a bit of a slow start this year. But he played really well in AA. We're going to be talking about a lot about him in spring training next year. I don't know where he's going to play yet, either second base or center field. I don't know yet. In addition to the aforementioned players, SNY's Mets top 30 prospect list is full of intriguing names. That list includes power-hitting first baseman Brian Clifford, who people have compared since they brought him in from the Justin Verlander deal as a guy that could be like Lucas Duda power. Lucas Duda wasn't a bad player. Teenage shortstop Elian Pena, who absolutely got off to a bad start there in the Dominican Summer League, went over his first 24 or 25 or something like that, and then hit over 300, had an OPS over 900 from that point on. He's only 17 years old. They just signed him in January. I would expect him to come stateside for the Florida Complex League next year, and we'll see how he goes. Third baseman Jacob Reimer, a guy that was hurt last year, one of the many position players the Mets had that were on the injury list last year. He had a bad hamstring injury. He has had a big year. He had 3 home runs in Brooklyn back in May, I believe, and then he's been in Binghamton, and he's just raging hot in Binghamton right now. Outfielder A.J. Ewing, who's a guy that's come out of nowhere, a guy they drafted 2 years ago. And, of course, left-handed pitcher Jonathan Santucci from Duke University. They drafted him. David Stearns drafted him. But a couple of things. Nolan McLean was drafted by Billy Epler. Brandon Sprout was drafted by Billy Epler. Also Jonathan by Billy Epler. Jet Williams by Billy Epler. Carson Bench was drafted by, of course, David Stearns last year. Ryan Clifford was brought in from the Verlander trade with Drew Gilbert. Elian Pena was signed by David Stearns. I would mention David Stearns as a guy who signs these international players. He's also a guy that signed Jackson Chirinos in Milwaukee. So just keep that in mind. Jacob Reimer, another guy brought in by Billy Epler. A.J. Yoon brought in by Billy Epler. And, of course, Jonathan Santucci brought in by David Stearns. But you have a farm system, folks. They're going to start churning out guys. The Mets are not going to be as active as you would think going into the offseason. We'll see how this season finishes up. Maybe the Mets go to the World Series. Maybe they win the World Series. But I don't expect them to bring in a big player with all these young guys coming up to the system. It doesn't make any sense. I could see them re-signing Pete Alonso, re-signing Edwin Diaz, or letting them go. There's any number of things the Mets can do here, and they could still be a very good team next year. But that's next year. That's beyond. Right now is what they need right now at the Major League level. They need to put the best team out there every day. McLean does that tonight. Tong will do that on Friday, and we'll take it from there. But the Mets farm system has been important because this team has needed their young players, particularly guys that have been here, to really take hold of a job. Mark Vientos did not hit well at all most of the season up until the last few weeks. And, of course, Brett Baty, same thing. He's had a very good August. And these guys have finally stepped up. That's a big thing. And to step up in a big spot. Stepping up in August in a stretch run is very important. And now we're about a few days away from September. You know, if they keep this going, the Mets will win the wild card. If not, more, maybe try to get the division again. But the B #1 farm system is a big deal. We'll see where they get ranked once we start seeing some of these guys get called up to the major leagues, like the guys I mentioned. But the Mets have so much talent in the system now, so much pitching talent, which they have not had in a very long time, not like 10 years. So the pitching talent is coming up through the system. Mets have been bringing in a lot of like players, everyday players, position players that are on the everyday roster. Pete Alonso, we have Michael Conforto for a few years, Jeff McNeil. But these other guys, the pitching was a thing that they didn't have a lot of. So they developed, and again, I haven't mentioned this, Jonah Tong is a major player development win because 2 years ago he was walking the ballpark. This is a kid that was from Canada. He moved from Canada to Florida so he could get drafted by a team. The Mets drafted him in the 7th round in 2022, and he's a guy that really has developed so greatly over the last few years. From where he cut the walks down last year, now he is the best, and the #1 prospect in terms of being on the mound, the best pitching prospect in baseball. That's things I've been reading over the last few days, is that Jonah Tong is the best pitching prospect in the game. So the Mets have really come a long way in the last 2 years, really 3 years. But and Billy Epler, the unsung hero to all this, because he brought in a lot of these guys. And the Mets have had a lot of flux in terms of general manager since 2017. They've had guys coming in and out of here. But Billy Epler really put a stamp on himself. And we're going to be talking about these players now for a long time if they get to the majors and they perform well and do a good job. And we can all say he did a good job when he was here for the 2 years that he was here. So you let me know what you think about this video. And, of course, please subscribe to the Prospect Hut, and I'll see you later. Well, welcome back to the Prospect Hut, and hopefully you like this video. So in this video, we're going to talk about the top prospects in the Mets system. The Mets prospects this year, and a lot of the Mets minor leagues have had major advances in their status over this past season. A lot of guys have stayed healthy. A lot of the Mets everyday players in the minor leagues have stayed healthy. You know, Jet Williams, Jacob Reimer, Drew Gilbert until he got traded. The guys have done a great job in the minor leagues, and I'm going to get into this. And really, players are getting on these top 100 lists. I was very surprised by 6 Mets that are on ESPN's top 100. Now, the Mets farm system at the beginning of the season was like in the middle of the pack, and now they're about 7th. I mean, some lists have them at number 7 as the 7th best farm system in baseball. Let's get into it. This is from Mets Rise. 6 Mets prospects crack ESPN's top 100. With the MLB draft and trade deadline both now passed, ESPN's Kylie McDaniel has update his 2025 in-season top 100 MLB prospects, and the list includes 6 Mets prospects. Number 18, Jed Williams. He's a shortstop. After a great Double-A campaign in Binghamton, the Mets recently promoted him to Triple-A Syracuse earlier this month. Prior to his promotion, Williams was hitting .281 with a .390 on-base percentage, .477 slugging percentage with an .867 OPS with the Rumble Ponies. He had struck for 29 doubles, 5 triples, 10 home runs, walked 62 times, driving in 37 runs, and had 70 runs scored. He also showed off his speed with 32 stolen bases. Back in July, the 21-year-old was the only player in minor league baseball with 10-plus homers, 25-plus doubles, and 25-plus steals. He ranked top 5 in Double-A as well for runs scored, extra base hits, OPS, and slug. He has been splitting his time between short, second, and center field. Since his promotion to Syracuse, Williams has continued his hot streak, hitting .286 with a .333 on base and a .500 slugging percentage with an .833 OPS. He's 8 for 28 with a double, triple, home run, RBI, 2 walks, and 4 runs scored. We keep in mind that 2 years ago, he had over 100 walks, and that was the most by a Mets minor league player since 2003, I think, by David Wright. So he's in good company in the minor leagues. At number 19, Nolan McLean. We saw him on Saturday. Pitched really well for the Mets, but after going 8-5 with a 2.45 ERA and 127 strikeouts and a whip of 1.13 through 113 2/3 innings, McLean got the call on Friday that he was going to the big leagues. On Saturday, 24-year-old from Willow Spring, North Carolina, made his major league debut, and it was one to remember. He pitched a scoreless 5 1/3 innings, giving up just 2 hits, walking 4, and striking out 8. He picked up the win in his debut and could stay in the Mets rotation. He's not going anywhere. Hopefully, he pitches well in Atlanta. That could be a little rough down there for the Mets and their pitching staff. Number 21, Jonah Tong, right-handed pitcher. Tong is also having a phenomenal 2025 season. Along with Williams, after soaring to Double-A, he found himself packing his bags to head to Syracuse earlier this month. During his time with Double-A Binghamton, he was 8-5 with a 1.59 ERA and 162 strikeouts through 102 innings. He had a whip of 0.92. In his first start at Syracuse on Saturday, he picked up right where he left off. He threw 5 2/3 innings, giving up just 3 hits, a walking 2, and striking out 9. Earned his first Triple-A win along the way. According to Matthew Brownstein of Mesmerized, among 112 pitchers who have 100 innings pitched in the minor leagues this season, Tong currently ranks first in ERA, first in strikeout percentage, first in FIP, first in batters batting average against him, second in whip, second in swing, I don't know what that abbreviation is, and 6th in ground ball percentage. I also mentioned he has the most strikeouts in the minor leagues of any pitcher. He was a pitcher that has come from out of nowhere because he was like a 7th-round pick in 2022, pitched terribly 2 years ago in the low A minus for the Mets, and then started coming on last year. Number 27, Carson Bench, outfielder. Bench, the Mets' first-round draft pick from 2024. Number 19 overall from the school of Oklahoma State, was having a great season in the minor leagues before an unlucky injury sidelined him on Saturday. Oh boy, that's not good. He had just been a part of the group of prospects hauled up to Triple-A Syracuse when in his 4th game with the team, he went down with an injury that has him now on the 7-day injured list. Prior to that, Bench had spent the first part of the season with High A Brooklyn, where he batted 320. Didn't have the average here. Well, anyway, upon being called up to Double-A Binghamton, he continued to hit the ball well, hitting .317. After 32 games in Double-A, just a year after being drafted, the 22-year-old found himself just one step away from the big leagues with a call-up to Triple-A Syracuse. Prior to going on the injury list, he was batting .250 with a .650 OPS. He was 3 for 12 with 2 runs scored. He didn't have enough time. I don't have the injury here. I don't think it's a major injury. Number 74 in this list, A.J. Ewing. He's new to this list. He's new to a lot of lists. Outfielder, second baseman. Drafted in 23, Ewing has found himself cruising to the minor leagues here in 2025. The left-handed batter has progressed from low A St. Lucie to Double-A Binghamton this season. Over that time, he has stolen 61 bases and been caught only 9 times. The 21-year-old has played all 3 outfield spots in 13 games at second this year. He's drafted as a shortstop. That's why it's always important to draft shortstops, because they can play anywhere. During his time with St. Lucie, he was hitting .400 for a huge 1121 OPS. He had 3 doubles, 4 triples, 1 home run, 20 runs batted in, 15 runs scored. He also walked 15 times and stole 14 bases. Upon being called up to High A Brooklyn, he continued to progress well, hitting .288 with a .775 OPS. He had 16 doubles, 4 triples, 2 home runs, drove in 26, and had 52 runs scored. He stole 44 bases with Brooklyn. Ewing was called up to Double-A Binghamton earlier in August. Through 7 games of the team, he's hitting .233 with a .303 on-base percentage for a .603 OPS. He has a double, 1 RBI, 4 runs scored, and has 3 stolen bases. He's an unknown. It's hard to sort of know where he's going to be in another year, where his value is. But he has exploded on the scene from where he was last year. Number 83, Brandon Sproat. After a rocky start to this season with AAA Syracuse, Sproat has begun to really turn things over as impressed as of late. And then coming into the season, he's the Mets' best pitching prospect. Over the course of the season, he's 7-6 with a 4.24 ERA. Through 110 in the third innings, he has struck out 100 and a 1.23 whip. And he has given up just 87 hits and 49 walks, along with just 52 earned runs. The walk's a little high. In his most recent outing on Tuesday, Sproat struck out 8 batters in 6 innings of 1-run ball. He threw 83 pitches on Tuesday with 57. And his last 9 outings, has a 2.05 ERA with 57 strikeouts, as things seem to be clicking for the 24-year-old from Pensacola and the former Florida Gator. And within the first 10 spots outside of the top 100, is Mets third base prospect Jacob Reimer. The 21-year-old from Redlands, California, has split the season between High A Brooklyn and Double-A Binghamton, where he is hitting a combined .271 with an .841 OPS. Through 103 games, he has 25 doubles, 4 triples, 14 home runs, 16 stolen bases, and 62 RBIs and 14 stolen bases. He might be the next guy to sort of take a step forward, but we'll see where he is. I would think that we'll see. The prospect promotion incentive requires players to be listed on the preseason top 100 from 2 of ESPN, Baseball, and MLB Pipeline to be eligible. While this list doesn't count towards stat, it's certainly a good sign for the ESPN preseason list that comes out for next season. I mean, the fact the Mets have this many players tells you how much the Mets have taken a major step forward in their minor leagues. And the ability to develop players within the system is really paying off. But we'll see where this goes. So thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you later. Now, welcome back to the Prospect Hub. We talk about Mets prospects. We got an update for you, or I have an update for you from Mesmerized headlines. Speed Demon A.J. Ewing strikes again. Now, before we get into this video, you need to hit the subscribe button, leave comments in the comment section, and watch the entirety of this wonderful, amazing, spectacular video. So let's get into it. Jed Williams stole his first AAA base of the 2025 season, and A.J. Ewing stole 3 bases in a Binghamton win to bring his 2025 total to 65 stolen bases across 3 levels. He has exploded onto the scene. He's gone from a guy they drafted him a couple years ago, and he's just done a great job this year. And Indianapolis, the Syracuse Mets lost 12-9. Jet Williams went 1 for 3 with a stolen base, 2 walks. Luke Ritter went 1 for 4 with a run scored, a home run, and RBI. Jared Young went 3 for 5 with 2 home runs, 2 RBIs, and a .964 OPS. Jet Williams walked twice and stole his first AAA base, but has seen his OPS drop sharply since his hot start, hoping to do a long season. Syracuse had 5 home runs on Sunday. Ryan Clifford was placed on the temporary inactive list. Wonder what happened there. Brandon Sproat, who pitched in relief, by the way, went 3 2/3 innings, gave 7 hits, 7 runs, 5 earned, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. At some point, I think the Mets are going to be calling him up. I think they want to put him in the bullpen, just give him a feel for what he has to deal with. Brandon Sproat had a rough outing in his first relief appearance, allowed 4 runs in his first inning of work behind 2 walks. a wild pitch, and an error. Sproat was extremely hittable and susceptible to the stolen base, with 4 of the 5 Indians' stolen bases occurring while he was on the mound. The Binghamton Roan Ponies defeated the Portland Sea Dogs 12-10. A.J. Yoon went 3 for 5 with a double, 3 runs scored, 3 stolen bases, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. His OPS 895, double A. Nick Morabito went 1 for 5 with a run scored, a stolen base. He's got 41 stolen bases on the year. Jacob Bremer went 3 for 5 with 2 runs scored, a home run, 3 RBIs. His OPS 857. Chris Swero went 2 for 4 with 1 run scored, an RBI, and a walk, and his OPS is 714. DH Kevin Parada went 2 for 4 with 2 runs scored, a home run, an RBI. A.J. Yoon ran wild on the Sea Dogs, notching 3 stolen bases and scoring 3 runs. Yoon has proven to be the catalyst for the Binghamton offense. Every Roman Pony had a hit, and only Nick LaRusso didn't score a run. On the pitching side, Felipe De La Cruz pitched 3 innings, gave 1 hit, 1 run, earned 5 strikeouts and a home run. Ryan Lambert pitched an inning, struck out 2. Lambert is on a heater in August, striking out 11 batters while only allowing 3 hits. Felipe De La Cruz has had an up-and-down season, but displayed his promising stuff on Sunday with solid results. He has walked 0 batters in August with 11 strikeouts over 7 2/3 innings. Wow, that's pretty good. The Brooklyn Cyclones lost to the Aberdeen Ironbirds 3-1. Boston Barrow went 0 for 3. Eli Serrano went 1 for 4. Ronald Hernandez went 1 for 3. Trace Wilhoit went 1 for 4. Brooklyn had 4 hits with 3 going for extra base hits. Ronald Hernandez has had a hit in 6 of his last 9 games. After having a strong month as a professional in July, Boston Barrow has slumped, slashing 173 in August. Right-handed pitcher Haas Brewer went pitched an inning, gave a hit, 1 unrun run, 1 walk, and 1 strikeout. The St. Lucie Mets defeated the Palm Beach Cardinals 8-1. Mitch Voigt went 1 for 4 with a run scored, a double, and RBI, 2 strikeouts. Left fielder John Bay went 1 for 3. A home run, a run scored, 3 RBIs. He is now in Brooklyn. He was promoted on Monday. Davison Gutierrez, the catcher, went 1 for 3 with a double and RBI. First baseman Randy Guzman went 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs, a court steal, and 1 strikeout. Antonio Jimenez went 2 for 4 when he scored 2 runs, and he had a walk. Mitch Ford has had a lot of swing and miss in his game, and is not a sustainable approach for success. Joel Lara pitched 4 innings, gave a 1 walk, and struck out 4. So this is what happened on Sunday, and all the action in the minor leagues for the Mets. So let me know what you think about this video, and of course, please subscribe. I'll see you later. Well, welcome back to the Prospect Hub. We're talking about Mets prospects here, and of course, there was actually something that happened really big in Syracuse. I wanted to get to this first because I usually do the day after. Like for today's Sunday, you go over the action that happened on Saturday, but I wanted to go through this one game very briefly. A performance that was not a good performance by a big Met prospect. Now the Mets, of course, as you know, brought up Nolan McLean in these 2-0 his first 2 Major League starts. He pitched well against the Mariners last week and pitched really well against the Braves on Friday. Really did a great job. And there's talk that the Mets are thinking about calling up Jonah Tong, who had a big night Saturday night in Syracuse, and he is dominating minor league baseball. He's got the most strikeouts in minor league baseball right now for a pitcher. But there's another pitcher that is on the radar, and that's Brandon Sproat, who usually, today was his day to start, but the Mets used him later in the game. Came in the 2nd inning. And what's interesting is he did not pitch well. I don't have all the details, but I got the numbers here. And this is in Syracuse. The Mets lost 12-9. Syracuse Mets lost 12-9 to the Indianapolis Indians. And unfortunately, he didn't pitch well. And 3 2/3 innings, he gave up 7 runs, 5 earned runs, 7 hits, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts. It's not good. And the Mets brought him in relief because they wanted to see how he would perform in relief, because I think they're kind of thinking about calling him up to New York in the next few weeks. And I think they wanted to get his feet wet to bring him in the middle of a game. I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if the Mets are going to do that long term. They're going to do that long term, I wouldn't think. But I think they want to put him in the bullpen. I think they should just start him and put Clay Holmes in the bullpen, in my opinion. But he has been sort of up and down over the last 3 or 4 starts. He hasn't pitched nearly as well. And obviously he didn't pitch well on Sunday. But that's, I just wanted to get you. I'll have more about this thing, about the way he pitched on Monday for you. I want to get back here, but I have to work. But here is from Mets and Rise. This is from Saturday. Mets minors recap. Tong dazzles in second AAA start. Now, before I get into this video, please hit the subscribe button. Jonah Tong dazzled in the second outing for AAA Syracuse, firing 6 shutout innings with 8 strikeouts. The 22-year-old right-handed pitcher has now racked up 11 scoreless frames and 17 strikeouts across his first 2 AAA starts. So he's complete total domination. Mike Poom of the New York Post reported before the game that Tong has entered the conversation for a potential 2025 call-up. A full breakdown of that report. We don't need to see about that. That doesn't matter. So on Saturday, the Syracuse Mets defeated the Indianapolis Indians 4-0. Jet Williams went 1 for 5. He's gotten off to a slow start in the AAA. Left fielder Jared Young went 3 for 4. Ali Sanchez, who Mets recently resigned because they need some catching help, went 1 for 4. Williams finally snapped an 18 at-bat hit drought with a knock, although he swung at the first pitch in 3 of his 5 trips. He also opened the bottom of the first with a 100-mile-per-hour out to third base. So Jonah Tong pitched 6 innings, gave up 5 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, and 8 strikeouts. It was once again the Tong show in Syracuse, and he was pitching at home, and the place was going crazy the way he's been pitching. The right-handed pitcher dominated through 6 innings, piling up 21 swings, and misses with 63 of his 88 pitches going for strikes. Wow! So he only gave up 25. He only threw 25 balls in this game. This is a kid that was walking the ballpark 2 years ago. He had a walk rate over 6. Walk rate over 6, and he's cleaned that all up. His fastball topped out at 97.6 miles per hour. Flame-throwing reliever Dylan Ross followed with 2 scoreless frames. Both Tong and Ross are making their cases to push for a call-up to the big leagues. I would mention I'd like to see Ross as opposed to Brazoban, who they called up yesterday, which is just, I don't know what the hell they're doing. Just get him out of here. He made me so nervous. I know they lost the game anyway, but having him pitch made me very nervous. And they'll have to worry about standing pitching and everything else. It's not good. The Portland Sea Dogs defeated the Binghamton Rowan Ponies 8-2. A.J. Yoon went 2 for 4. Jacob Reimer went 2 for 3. He hit a home run on Sunday. Catcher Kevin Parada went 1 for 4. He also hit a home run on Sunday. It was a rough day offensively for Binghamton, who squandered multiple chances with runners in scoring position. They loaded the base with 2 outs in the first before Parada struck out on 3 pitches. Parada laid battled through a 7-pitch at-bat in the 5th, with men on second and third, but came up empty again. One of the lone bright spots was third baseman Jacob Reimer, who posted another multi-hit effort. He's now batting .283 with an .880 OPS and 6 extra base hits in August. He's had a very good year. A right-handed pitcher, Brendan Gurton, went 2/3 of an inning, gave up 2 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk. His ERA is 4.76. Right-handed pitcher Brian Metalor pitched an inning and struck out 2. The Rowan Ponies pitching staff had a rough day on Saturday. Starter Brendan Gurton exited after just 2/3 of an inning with an apparent injury. Oh, that's not good. And bulk reliever Daniel Juarez struggled in relief. And High A Brooklyn. Colin Houck went 1 for 2. The former first-round pick and Houck had a fantastic day at the plate, on a single to center in the 4th inning and grounded out a 9-pitch at-bat in the 5th. Outside of Houck, however, Brooklyn's offense struggled, and the Aberdeen Ironbirds defeated the Brooklyn Cyclones 5-3. 3 players struck out at least 3 times, including slugger Trace Wilhoit, who had a golden sombrero. The Cyclones ended up going down on strikes a total of 14 times in the night. Gotta swing the bat, guys. Right-handed pitcher Will Watson pitched 6 innings, gave 1 hit, no earned runs, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. His ERA on the season is 1.70. Watson extended his scoreless streak to 14 innings on Saturday, allowing just 1 hit over 6 strong innings. The Cyclones looked to have a solid 3-0 lead, but lefty Ryan Ammons struggled in relief, getting 4 earned runs in just 2/3 of an inning, including 2 walks. This is like the first time I've ever seen him ever give any runs, Ryan Ammons. Been with the Mets organization for 2 years, the first time I've heard and read him giving up runs. Hunter Hodges followed and issued 3 consecutive free passes. Overall, the Cyclones combined for 5 straight walks in the 8th inning between Ammons and Hodges. Oh boy. And St. Lucie. St. Lucie Mets lost to the Palm Beach Cardinals 6-1. Mitch Voigt went 0 for 4 for walking the stolen base. The Mets' 2025 first-round pick continued his struggles on Saturday. Pitchers have been attacking him with 2 low breaking balls and sky-high heaters. He hasn't made the necessary adjustments yet. He also committed an error in the field. St. Lucie managed just 1 run, and the lineup struck out a combined 16 times. Oofa. Left-handed pitcher Davio Hurtado pitched 4 innings, gave 4 hits, 2 runs, 0 earned, 1 walk, and 3 strikeouts. And Mets has him ranked as number 27th overall in the Mets farm system. But big news here is what happened on Sunday, and that's what Brandon Sproat did not pitch well. And didn't pitch, he pitched 3 and 2/3 innings. That's not great. He gave a ton of runs, and I don't know if that's such a good idea. The Mets having him come out of the bullpen, but you let me know what you think about this video, and of course, please subscribe to the Prospect Hut, and I'll see you later. Well, welcome back to the Prospect Hut, and hopefully you like this video. So in this video, we're going to talk about the top prospects in the Mets system. The Mets prospects this year, and a lot of the Mets minor leaguers have had major advances in their status over this past season. A lot of guys have stayed healthy. A lot of the Mets everyday players in the minor leagues have stayed healthy. Jet Williams, Jacob Reimer, Drew Gilbert until he got traded. The guys have done a great job in the minor leagues, and we're going to get into this. And really, players are getting on these top 100 lists. I was very surprised by 6 Mets that are on ESPN's top 100. Now, the Mets farm system at the beginning of the season was like in the middle of the pack, and now they're about 7th. I mean, some lists have them at number 7. That's the 7th best farm system in baseball. Let's get into it. This is from Mets. 6 Mets prospects crack ESPN's top 100. With the MLB draft and trade deadline both now passed, ESPN's Kylie McDaniel has updated his 2025 in-season top 100 MLB prospects, and the list includes 6 Mets prospects. Number 18, Jet Williams. He's a shortstop. After a great Double-A campaign in Binghamton, the Mets recently promoted him to Triple-A Syracuse earlier this month. Prior to his promotion, Williams was hitting .281 with a .390 on-base percentage, .477 slugging percentage with an .867 OPS with the Rumble Ponies. He had struck for 29 doubles, 5 triples, 10 home runs, walked 62 times, driving in 37 runs, and had 70 runs scored. He also showed off his speed with 32 stolen bases. Back in July, the 21-year-old was the only player in minor league baseball with 10-plus homers, 25-plus doubles, and 25-plus steals. He ranked top 5 in Double-A as well for runs scored, extra base hits, OPS, and slug. He has been splitting his time between short, second, and center field. Since his promotion to Syracuse, Williams has continued his hot streak, hitting .286 with a .333 on base and a .500 slugging percentage with an .833 OPS. He's 8 for 28 with a double, triple, home run, RBI, 2 walks, and 4 runs scored. But keep in mind that 2 years ago, he had over 100 walks, and that was the most by a Mets minor league player since 2003, I think, by David Wright. So he's in good company in the minor leagues. And number 19, Nolan McLean, and we saw him on Saturday, pitched really well for the Mets, but after going 8-5 with a 2.45 ERA and 127 strikeouts and a whip of 1.13 through 113 2/3 innings, McLean got the call on Friday that he was going to the big leagues. On Saturday, 24-year-old from Willow Spring, North Carolina, made his major league debut, and it was one to remember. He pitched a scoreless 5 1/3 innings, giving up just 2 hits, walking 4 and striking out 8. Picked up the one in his debut and could stay in the Mets rotation. He's not going anywhere. Hopefully he pitches well in Atlanta. That could be a little rough down there for the Mets and their pitching staff. Number 21, Jonah Tong, right-handed pitcher. Tong is also having a phenomenal 2025 season. Along with Williams, after soaring to Double-A, he found himself packing his bags to head to Syracuse earlier this month. During his time with Double-A Binghamton, he was 8-5 with a 1.59 ERA and 162 strikeouts through 102 innings. He had a whip of 0.92. In his first start with Syracuse on Saturday, he picked up right where he left off. He threw 5 2/3 innings, giving up just 3 hits, walking 2, and striking out 9. Earned his first AAA win along the way. According to Matthew Brownstein of Mesmerized, among 112 pitchers who have 100 innings pitched in the minor leagues this season, Tong currently ranks first in ERA, first in strikeout percentage, first in FIP, first in batters batting average against him, second in whip, second in swing, I don't know what that abbreviation is, and sixth in ground ball percentage. I also mentioned he has the most strikeouts in the minor leagues of any pitcher. He was a pitcher that has come from out of nowhere because he was like a 7th round pick in 2022, pitched terribly 2 years ago in low A minus for the Mets, and then started coming on last year. Number 27, Carson Bench, outfielder. Bench, the Mets' first round draft pick from 2024. Number 19 overall from the school of Oklahoma State, was having a great season in the minor leagues before an unlucky injury sidelined him on Saturday. Oh boy, that's not good. He had just been a part of the group of prospects called up to AAA Syracuse when in his 4th game with the team, he went down with an injury that has him now on the 7-day injured list. Prior to that, Bench had spent the first part of the season with High A Brooklyn, where he batted 320. It didn't have the average here. Well, anyway, upon being called up to Double-A Binghamton, he continued to hit the ball well, hitting .317. After 32 games in Double-A, just a year after being drafted, the 22-year-old found himself just one step away from the big leagues with a call-up to AAA Syracuse. Prior to going on the injury list, he was batting .250 with a .650 OPS. He was 3 for 12 with 2 runs scored. He didn't have enough time. I don't have the injury here. I don't think it's a major injury. Number 74 on this list, A.J. Ewing. He's new to this list. He's new to a lot of lists. Outfielder, second baseman. Drafted in 23, Ewing has found himself cruising through the minor leagues here in 2025. The left-handed batter has progressed from low A St. Lucie to Double A Binghamton this season. Over that time, he has stolen 61 bases and been caught only 9 times. The 21-year-old has played all 3 outfield spots in 13 games a second this year. He's drafted as a shortstop. That's why it's always important to draft shortstops, because they can play anywhere. During his time with St. Lucie, he was hitting .400 for a huge 1121 OPS. He had 3 doubles, 4 triples, 1 home run, 20 runs batted in, 15 runs scored. He also walked 15 times and stole 14 bases. Upon being called up to High A Brooklyn, he continued to progress well, hitting .288 with a .775 OPS. He had 16 doubles, 4 triples, 2 home runs, drove in 26, and had 52 runs scored. He stole 44 bases with Brooklyn. Ewing was called up to Double-A Binghamton earlier in August. Through 7 games of the team, he's hitting .233 with a .303 on-base percentage for a .603 OPS. He has a double, 1 RBI, 4 runs scored, and has 3 stolen bases. He's an unknown. It's hard to sort of know where he's going to be in another year, where his value is. But he has exploded on the scene from where he was last year. Number 83, Brandon Sproat. After a rocky start to this season with AAA Syracuse, Sproat has begun to really turn things over and has impressed as of late. And then coming into the season, he's the Mets' best pitching prospect. Over the course of the season, he's 7-6 with a 4.24 ERA. Through 110 in the third innings, he has struck out 100 and a 1.23 whip. And he has given up just 87 hits and 49 walks, along with just 52 earned runs. The walk's a little high. In his most recent outing on Tuesday, Sproat struck out 8 batters in 6 innings of 1-run ball. He threw 83 pitches on Tuesday with 57. And his last 9 outings, has a .205 ERA with 57 strikeouts as things seem to be clicking for the 24-year-old from Pensacola and the former Florida Gator. And within the first 10 spots outside of the top 100 is Mets third base prospect Jacob Reimer. The 21-year-old from Redlands, California, has split the season between High A Brooklyn and Double A Binghamton, where he is hitting a combined .271 with an .841 OPS. Through 103 games, he has 25 doubles, 4 triples, 14 home runs, 16 stolen bases, and 62 RBIs and 14 stolen bases. He might be the next guy to sort of take a step forward, but we'll see where he is. I would think that we'll see. The prospect promotion incentive requires players to be listed on the preseason top 100 from 2 of ESPN, Baseball, and MLB Pipeline to be eligible. While this list doesn't count towards stat, it's certainly a good sign for the ESPN preseason list that comes out for next season. I mean, the fact the Mets have this many players tells you how much the Mets have taken a major step forward in their minor leagues. And the ability to develop players within the system is really paying off. But we'll see where this goes. So thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you later.